According to The Guardian, Killer Mike is suing a security firm over his Grammys arrest, alleging public humiliation.
Hmm.
And it says that the rapper alleges assault, false arrest, and more when he was detained shortly after winning 3 awards at the 2024 ceremony, but security firm claims zero involvement.
Mm.
Um, okay, so it says that the rapper, real name Michael Render, won 3 awards at the ceremony for Best Rap Album, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Performance. But shortly after he wins, as he moved backstage towards the red carpet area, he was arrested and detained after an altercation with what Render later described as an overzealous security guard.
Hmm.
In July, the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office said it would not file charges against Render over the incident. So ultimately, he was not charged with anything.
That's good. I didn't know that.
Um, but it says Render is now suing SNS labor force, alleging false arrest and imprisonment, assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and negligence. The lawsuit, quoted by Rolling Stone, alleges that Render made multiple attempts to clarify his identity and purpose for being in that secured area, but was ignored and restrained.
Mm.
Defendants then surrounded plaintiff with multiple security guards and wrongfully detained plaintiff and confined his movements through physical force. Defendants used their position of authority to degrade, embarrass, and physically hurt plaintiff in public view,
Mm.
subjecting him to emotional distress and public humiliation.
For sure.
So it says he is seeking a trial and eventual damages.
Okay.
And SNS Labor Force, who operate as JRM Security, they have responded. And as I previously stated, this is in more detail. They say they unequivocally state that they had zero involvement in the incident described. So they're claiming that this is not the case,
Right.
what he's alleging. But I guess I wonder how come this came up now?
Good question.
Um, I'm not saying he's wrong for it's wrong for it happening now. It's just interesting to me that it's
A year later.
a year to the date that we're hearing about this.
Right.
So kind of strange in that sense. Like I was surprised when you shared this because I was just like, oh, I haven't thought about this thing that happened
At all.
since last February.
Right.
You know, we talked about it here, but wasn't really top of mind. So apparently, he's now seeking trial and like they said, eventually damages, which means money. Um,
Mhm.
so this is interesting.
It is interesting. I wonder who's gonna end up, who the buck is gonna get up, who the buck will be passed to.
Yeah.
Because they're saying they have nothing to do with it. He's saying they do. Um, but even if he loses that lawsuit, somebody's gonna have to pay because we all saw what happened. And he says we only saw a small piece of what happened. He's been saying that since the day after the incident happened. So I'm sure that if Killer Mike is taking action, it's for a reason, and somebody's gonna have to pay, like literally monetarily. So this is interesting. I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on. I'm also glad we were able to find out that it was thrown out in July because I didn't see anything about that. We
Yeah, I
would have
didn't.
came in and reported on that. So it's interesting that that kind of happened quietly, I guess I'll say.
Mhm.
But I'm glad that we have that information as well. I'm glad he's good. I'm glad that the thing. I'm glad he's not in any legal trouble. But the fact remains, his moment was ruined. I couldn't say that for a second. His moment was ruined. You know, he had the biggest night of his career, and it was stampeded by this thing where we all just saw him getting hauled out of the arena in cuffs. So yeah, I think yeah, it is something that shouldn't we didn't need to see physically. There are lots of ways to handle these things quietly, and
Mhm.
clearly they didn't. And so yeah, plus he's saying he was assaulted and injured. Well then, yeah, somebody got to pay. So I'm curious to see how this develops. Uh, and it's always interesting to me when you have two sides who are saying the exact opposite, where one person is saying, you definitely did this, and the other person is saying, no, I had nothing to do with it. So that's why I say it's interesting to see that. And I guess we'll see who ends up catching the buck, or however the term goes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens. It's an unfortunate thing that happened. And you know, I'm always on the side of if there is a way to somehow make penance for what someone has done, then so be it.
Right.